Hello, travel biz owner. Welcome to my corner of the travel industry, the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're ready to have fun, be inspired, get clarity, and take action in your travel business, then you're in the right place. Let's jump in. Hey everyone, today's conversation is inspired by a conversation I had this week about customer service and improving customer service. And it really got me thinking about my roots back when I worked at the theme parks. If you didn't know, I worked at the most magical place in the world and one of the other theme parks here locally in Orlando, Florida as well. And learned a lot, clearly, because I got into working at the theme parks when... about 6 months maybe after I graduated from high school. Actually, no, even before that. So my first real job, real W-2 job, because I was always a babysitter when I was younger, but my first job when I graduated from high school was working merchandise at Coconut Bay Traders over at SeaWorld. If you don't know where Coconut Bay Traders is, it's got the amazing Jimmy Buffett music inside, and it's pretty much the big shopping area that's right next to where you pet the stingrays. So that was my summer before college job, but then I quickly got back into working at the theme parks because I started working at Disney World, Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, thanks to an internship, a lodging internship where I learned about housekeeping. So yes, I've worked in housekeeping. I think it was a 6 months housekeeping, 6 months front desk type of thing. It was so long ago. But I still have one really good friend that I talk to this day from those days. So really great experiences there. But this conversation about guest service kind of made me think, what is good guest service? What's typical, what's bare minimum, and then what is also just above and beyond guest service. And I think really Disney is one of the pinnacles of when we're looking at guest service, because they train you so well. I think that's why I have good service and all that. I really think about those things because I have I think it's 16, 17 years of combined theme park experience from all the years that I had worked in and out of the different theme parks. Mostly a lot of the restaurants at the theme parks, but there was a little stint in the lodging aspect, and I loved working in the restaurants. But anyways, when we're thinking about that for your travel business, so what is the bare minimum that you need to be able to do for someone to be able to go on their trip? And it makes me think about, one, you've got to book the trip. You've got to work with them. You've got to deliver on that. You've got to get things right. You have to check in with them to make sure that things are going okay. Not constantly check in with them, but periodically check in with them. Also, when you're doing your consulting, you need to be checking in with their needs, listening on their needs. What is it that they're wanting from this experience, whatever travel experience that it may be? In certain situations, especially, and I think it's more depending on, the type of travel that you sell, because there needs to be some anticipation of needs. It's kind of bare minimum also. So when I think I'm planning business events for team leaders and business owners, I need to think about meeting space and what types of meeting space and what kinds of creative ideas can I give them to utilize the different meeting spaces and all that. And what kinds of events can I help them ideate on board? So that would be similar, I feel to if you're planning destination weddings or vow renewals or family reunions and things like that. You need to be ahead of the game. It's not just a simple families going to Disney World or anything like that. I think when we're checking in with needs also, this really helps you differentiate if you specialize in any sort of demographic that has special needs, like special dietary needs, neurodivergency needs. I'm thinking like autistic. They need a lot of, they have like quiet rooms in certain theme parks, and being on the lookout for those things that they're going to need. Is that the sunflower lanyard that they can grab at the airport or just when they're out and about, so it can signify somebody has an invisible illness. So those are all things, and maybe I'm going a little bit to the above and beyond, but those are also, for those certain demographics, very basic needs that they need you to do. If you don't do anything else to enhance and like go above and beyond, at the very least, you've listened to their needs, which means that you also have to ask really great questions. And I feel like this is something that I've probably garnered over time, just being naturally curious. And then also, as you get more and more experiences talking to people, you just figure out, oh yeah, I forgot to ask about this in this last one, so I got to remember to ask that. So there's going to be a couple bumps down the road, but that's all normal part of the planning process. Get things right, meaning if they said they wanted economy seats, give them the economy seats. If they said they wanted aisle seats, if they said they wanted a 2-hour layover, if they said they wanted nonstop, like that's the bare minimum function of your job, quote unquote, being a travel advisor, is to get these things right that they've asked for. Then you have to make sure that you book it. If you're being ethical, which I hope you all are if you're listening to this podcast, you are booking it, you're booking it on time. Meaning that, like recently I had to book some clients and Frank House tickets. If I waited to book those tickets, I probably couldn't have gotten the tickets for the day that we were looking for. So being ahead of the game on that. So listening to their needs and then checking in with them, checking to make sure that, especially if they've traveled a long way, how are the first couple days going? Is there anything that you can assist with? There's been quite a few times, not quite a few times, but I do have a friend who he cruises quite often, and I check in on him. Sometimes things are going great, sometimes things aren't. One of the benefits of that, though, and because I have a really great relationship with that specific BDM, is that if something's not going so great, she might be able to help me out. This is not a guarantee, but she might be able to help kind of like turn the situation around with her contacts directly with the cruise line. And again, like that's not a usual thing. I think you have to have like a certain rapport, and then also wanting to make sure that your client is taken care of. Those are the things that are what really stands out to our clients, because when I'm also saying like the bare minimum for good customer service, you also have to take into consideration somebody went to you because they had a problem, because they couldn't figure something out. They couldn't figure out how to travel to Antarctica. They couldn't figure out how to take the car seat with them when they're doing their drive around Ireland. They couldn't figure out how to plan this family reunion and take into consideration everybody's needs without coming to you, because you work in this industry day in and day out. You know what's kind of evolving, and because you've worked with many clients, or you have experience, or you've talked with colleagues, you have this knowledge, you have this skill set that you can anticipate those needs, know the questions that you need to ask, and always like check in on your client and just make sure that what you're doing is on par with what they're expecting. And so that's what differentiates a client that is willing to pay your professional fee, versus a client that just wants to do it on their own. They are not going to value all of that information. They will go ahead and scour hours on Google to figure it out for themselves. So I think you need to like look at that. I think I said this before too, that it is a privilege that someone has come to you and they're planning whatever trip of a lifetime it is, whether that is to build rapport with their team members, whether that's to like get together with a family they haven't seen in 10 years, whether this is the vow renewal because their wedding was an elopement at the church or elopement at the, not the church, what do I want to say, at the courthouse, whatever it might be. Like, you are helping someone's dreams, someone's goals come to fruition, come to action. And that is why people come to you. So at the very least, you've got to do the basics of managing their trip, managing their reservations, and all of that. But if you want to stand out and stand apart from other travel advisors that are maybe in similar niches or in similar areas or who know you, aside from things that you obviously specialize in, whether it's certain destinations or working with certain demographics, there are things, and this is when I go back to my Disney days. So a little bit of story time for you. I remember when I was a management intern at Magic Kingdom, and I was in between a couple different restaurants and covering for a couple different restaurants. If you know, Cosmic Rays over in Tomorrowland, and then Pecos Bills over in Adventureland. Those were kind of my two homes when I worked at Magic Kingdom. And so the basic function of working in a restaurant, a quick service restaurant at Disney, was to make sure there was a cashier to take the order of the cashier, or to take the order of the guest, to make sure that there were custodial type people that were cleaning off tables, taking the trash out, sweeping the floor to make sure you had a clean place to eat. We also needed cooks because they needed to be able to cook your food, and we needed a variety of cooks because all of those locations have different types of food that they offer. We also needed a dishwasher to make sure that not only like were trays getting dishwashed, but any of the you food utensils and any of the like containers that food prep was happening. So, and then we obviously needed, leadership to make sure that the well-oiled machine of a theme park restaurant was running how it needed to run. So that was like the bare bones. A guest comes in through the door. There might be somebody leading them to, you can get this here, this there. Because I'm thinking about Cosmic Rays, and one bay would have chicken, one bay would have burgers, and one bay would be the healthy side. At Pecos Bills, it might be like, come here and order, and then we have this amazing bar where you can add all your different toppings and all that. And that's the basic of what a guest is looking for. To go in, see a friendly smile, see somewhere that they can cash out at, pick up their food, get any condiments or anything, and sit down and have a great time eating their meal. What makes it a above and beyond experience is when we would do some additional interacting with our guests. And so we would create like different bingo boards and ask guests what their favorite Disney character was and where in the world did they come from, or where in the state. So we would have like different competitions, almost like as a morale booster too for the cast members that were working, to like engage with people so that it wasn't just an ordinary experience, that it was an extraordinary experience, that magical Disney touch that you just expect when you're on Disney property. Other things that they kind of do now that I think about is like some of the custodians with water will like paint different images into the ground. Other special touches, like I think of Epcot and how you can, the kids, I think they still do this, I'm not sure, but where you can get like the masks and they can color and like get the different badges. It might have changed now, actually thinking about it. I remember like the Kim Possible game at one point, and those were all free inclusions, no additional cost to the guests. I think there's, is it an Explorers Club over at Animal Kingdom now? There is also not only like additional activities, but there's also just the wow factor. Like you go into Disney or you go to Animal Kingdom and there's that wow factor. Epcot has the ball. Magic Kingdom has the castle. Animal Kingdom has the Tree of Life. Hollywood Studios has the replica Chinese Grauman Theater. I think that's how you say it. And so there's all these amazing like wow moments that not only am I getting my basic needs served, but my inner child kicks in. I am wowed. I'm having a great experience with the people that I'm interacting with. And really, it's those like basics are going to keep people coming to you just for basic needs. But if you can super wow somebody by going above and beyond, that is going to make you stand out not only from the competition, it's also going to make you stand out from when somebody has done it on their own, because they're going to be like, well, shoot, I should have been planning my travel with somebody this whole time. I didn't know I could get service like X, Y, and Z. So I wanted to share a couple of examples that I've seen and heard happening within the travel industry that is kind of going above and beyond so that you can just get a couple of ideas. I would say, surprise and delights. That's something that I like to talk about, especially when I'm talking about in my travel agency and talking with like people that are planning retreats on cruise ships. That extra like mile, like there's the basics for planning a retreat and what needs to be included. And then there's the captivate portion. There is those surprise and delights that really get people just feeling super special, and it really acknowledges how much you care about how invested you are on their trip and that they're having a really great time. And I remember one of my most recent experiences on this was when I was helping out with an Alma Waterways fam with a host agency, and the host agency presented everybody with their name on like a luggage tag. And I was like, this is such a small, simple, but also hugely heartwarming gesture that like means so much to me that you would have thought to like personalize something like this. This can also be like welcome cards or welcome messages when somebody comes into their cruise ship cabin, or maybe even like a plate of chocolate covered strawberries or a gift basket or something like that. So what are different like surprise and delight touches that might really go the extra mile? For one of my Hawaii clients, I was looking for like gift basket makers in Oahu, and I was able to find a really great one, and they delivered an amazing gift basket to my clients, and they were really blown away. And this year they're heading over to Amsterdam. So got to think of what I'm going to do to blow them away this time. I know there's some people, if you live close to in the nearby area, that will hand deliver their documents. So if you want to like print an itinerary out, if you want to print the check-in documents out, being able to hand deliver those goes above and beyond clearly any big box store, because they're not going to do that. But it also, like, if they have any last minute questions or things like that, you can answer those as you're delivering these documents. I also know that there's amazing people that not only hand deliver, but they'll also mail deliver in custom created boxes. And so I will give a shout out. I believe it's April Allison of the Blank Page Method. I believe you can find her on Facebook. You might be able to Google her too. She is fellow travel advisor, but she also designs these boxes, and I'm not sure really how big. It's not like a huge box. I would say it's like a document box with some extra room. And I know some travel advisors who like put different plushies. They theme the box out. They not only have the documents or the printed itinerary within the box, but they also add little elements that really make somebody like super excited to go to their destination. So if like they're going to Germany, they'll add in like pretzels. Maybe they'll have like a plushie that has like a dirndl or lederhosen on. Maybe they might think of like different apricots or things, or maybe they might have a beer stein, or maybe they might, like, there's just so many things that you can theme to things around the world also. I know that when I did the Hawaii gift basket, now I didn't do this, but there was the option of like typical Hawaiian things. Obviously pineapple, macadamia nuts, and those different types of treats. So what can you really do to get people excited before they leave? Or maybe you send it to I've done this too, after their trip or once they've returned, where I send something themed to where they just went so that they can relive the memories that they just had. So this can happen at any point. I think really any point before, during, or after is going to really surprise and delight, because again, that goes above and beyond. And you can even make this a signature thing that is your thing. So I'm thinking about, like, maybe it is every family that you book on a Disney cruise, you create like this pirate gear, like this pirate bag, and so they can have their eye patches or pirate tattoos or whatever it is, so that they are all set to go for pirate night. Maybe it is, I mean, the ideas are boundless, and so you just have to be really creative. And I think you also need to really know who your client is, both in this planning process and just overall who it is that you serve. Because not only do I think about what's tailored to their trip, but what can you customize that like is kind of like your signature. So is this that you monogram bags with their names on it for their first trip that they book with you? Excuse me. Is this that you are famous for like scarves, so you give them a new scarf every time? Is this that I know a travel advisor who would give like the euro coins to some of her clients and be like, your first piss in XYZ country is on me. And those are just so like delightful little things to be like, one, you're thoughtful, and two, I'm actually going to need this and use this. Like maybe if it's an Alaska cruise, you buy the family a pair or a set of binoculars so that they can see the whales that are jumping that are jumping from the ocean and all that. There's just so many different things, because they're already going to be amazed that they can see these whales jumping in the ocean from the ship. But if you can like get them closer to the action with a pair of binoculars, how cool are you? And like when I say like these surprise and delights, I know sometimes people are like, oh yeah, logoed items. I would be a little cautious on the logos, just because I'll never forget I heard somebody say, if you give somebody with a logo, it's not a gift, it's marketing. And you want to make sure that you're giving people an actual gift if you want to surprise and delight. Now, do you have to give them gifts? Of course not. But again, we're looking at having like extraordinary customer service. So maybe it's not that you give them a gift, but maybe you purchase an excursion and say, hey, surprise, you have a surprise excursion here or there. I also know a travel advisor who creates these super detailed information books and gives them like, these books they could probably be published on Amazon, is how detailed these books are, because she wants all the details. Like she doesn't want her clients to worry about any little detail for their trip. So she just paints in like chock full of information. It's history, it's tips that you need to know, and all that and the like. And then of course, like aside from the trip, I think about like happy meal opportunities. One of my really great friends, Emily, uses this term. I just want to give them a little happy, or if I want to give them a little happy, or like I have these little things to give them a little happy. And what she means is like, so she recently visited me here in Orlando, and you know, picking things up at trade shows is typically something that happens between her and her colleagues when they go to these types of like work types of conferences. She didn't really have that opportunity. There wasn't really a big trade show, but she's like, I know everybody's kind of like expecting this little tchotchke, so I got to figure something out. So she was able to get like celebration buttons. She was able to get extra like lotions and hand soaps that were themed to Disney because she stayed at Disney property. I think she was able to get like the Disney pens from the front desk. So those little amazing things are just like little surprise and delights that you can bring to people. So when somebody is not on a trip, the automatic two things that I think about are birthday cards and holiday cards, because that really is an extra special touch that somebody can give to you to be like, hey, I'm thinking about you and I hope you have a really great day or a really great time. And then also subconsciously being like, and I'm still in business. But nobody like really thinks about that part. It's just really something nice and sweet for you to do to get people feeling special and doing that extra surprise and delight. So you can do this with cards, postcards. Many of you know that I love using a service called Mailbox Power when I can just automate those babies and not really have to worry about, because I remember the first time that I was trying to keep up with birth dates for clients, I was like, oh my goodness, like this is a lot. So being able to have that in that Mailbox Power, and I can link up some more information in the show description for you on that. Holiday cards, maybe this is a little check-in, like I found this really great itinerary that you might like, or I found this really great excursion in a destination that you've been talking to. So what kind of little happiness might you be able to send somebody, even, just as simple as doing check-ins throughout the year, like, hey, I know this is the anniversary of so-and-so's death, or I know that your baby's first birthday is coming, or your second anniversary is coming up, and I just wanted to send you well wishes on your special day. And that can be done like however you feel most comfortable, if it's a call, a text, or a card. But those really thoughtful touches, and that's what I'm saying, like it doesn't have to be a gift, it doesn't have to be tangible. There's so many different ways to make people feel special. Maybe it's even, you plan some sort of like top clients night, and this can be a virtual night in. It can be at like one of your favorite restaurants where you bring all your clients together. Maybe you do like a little presentation about things that you're looking really forward to in the coming year, the next coming months. And maybe you have everybody share some of the amazing destinations and vacations that you've sent them to. So there are a lot, and that makes me start thinking too of the love languages. So we've talked about obviously gifts. Quality time, I would say, is like having one of those events. Words of affirmation is like doing that phone call, or I would say even like sending that card. Sending that card is actually what I would consider a little bit of acts of service. Prepaying for an excursion is kind of like acts of service, just making sure somebody is really taken care of. And so what I've talked: quality time, acts of service, gifts, words of affirmation, and I'm missing somebody. Oh, physical touch. And that can be like a hug back. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I don't know how much physical touch you would have with your clients, but physical touch, hug back, a high five. Maybe you even record yourself like giving them high five. I'm so glad that you had an amazing time on your trip, or I can't wait to see you, or like, maybe it's a hug at a quality time event, like a cruise night, or a, hey, thank you so much for including me in your year of vacations this year, what it might be. So I would love to hear back from you. Reach out in the DMs or post up something in the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Facebook group. What is something that you would like to do that's going to get you from being providing good customer service for your clients to getting you to providing great customer service? And if you ever need additional support, feel free to join us inside the Marketing Business School. I just got warm fuzzies because this community is so supportive of each other. And has got each other's backs. Like, it is more than just the master classes and the tech talks and the process parties. It's just a really great group of people that really uplifts each other. So if you're looking for a community that is just like that within the travel industry, who is also going to hold you accountable to doing certain things and getting stuff done in your business, reach out to me so that we can chat about you joining us in Marketing Business School. All right, you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you here next week. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. Remember to check out the show notes for all relevant links and resources from today's show. See you next time.